What is up, guys? I wanted to make a quick Rings of Power season review. I reviewed the first couple episodes and then my life got crazy. And so I wasn't able to go in and individually review all the episodes. I enjoyed the show. I really did. It's definitely not Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. That is pretty much untouchable. Even he couldn't recreate the magic in The Hobbit. But it's an enjoyable series. Again, if you're a diehard Tolkien lore fan, it is not a show for you. It is going to upset you to no end. Know that. No, don't go in expecting it to be super lore accurate, because it's not. If you're going in for a fun fantasy romp, you'll find a lot to like here. And I've watched, some different commentaries on it and people's thoughts, and I guess I'm a little less critical because I went in with some tempered expectations, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Particularly the Harfoot storyline I enjoyed. I started to enjoy the Númenórean storyline once they got to Middle-earth. At the beginning of the show, and I think I criticized this in my early videos, the action was not good. The action's probably one of the things that I would criticize the most about the show for its budget. Is a lot of the action sequences felt very amateurish. The way that they were edited and cut and the choreography felt more low-budget TV, not premiere television, not like, you'd see in something like in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. It was just kind of like, this is a little bit sloppy and feels very low budget. And unfortunately, I think a lot of that does come down to the directing. As I understand it, the showrunners did not have a whole ton of experience before coming into this show. And so a lot of those things that take more coordination, understanding of camera work, in conjunction with the action to make it all look really good, were not executed very well. There were some action scenes that did get better as the show went on, but certainly in the first few episodes, I was pretty disappointed with a lot of the action. It felt very cheap and cheesy and weird. So that's definitely one criticism that I would level. I'd also level that the show kind of went between feeling very, very grand and very, very small. You could kind of almost feel that TV show vibe when you have so many scenes of characters just talking in little rooms. And the problem is the dialogue was not exceptional. Like season 1 of Game of Thrones could have very much suffered from the same a lot of people talking in small rooms issue, because a lot of it was that. But the dialogue was so witty and the acting was so top-notch that it was not a problem. However, this show, while enjoyable, it did not have that depth of dialogue, that richness that, something like Game of Thrones or even Tolkien did, because he did in his books have a lot of people talking in rooms kinds of scenes. And it was very, very rich dialogue, and they tried, but it was not at that level. Maybe one more would be some of the editing and the pacing. Like there was one scene that I just, as an editor myself, makes me cringe a lot, was that scene where I think it was Elendil and Galadriel were riding, and they did this super slow motion of Galadriel riding with this crazy grin on her face, and it was too much slow motion, too tight up on her face. It felt what is this supposed to be? I don't understand, and it kind of really threw me out of it. So that was kind of the big things I didn't absolutely love about the show. Some things that I really did enjoy is certainly the world building was actually pretty nice. Seeing Khazad-dûm. I enjoyed the dwarf storyline one of the most, actually. I thought that the young Durin was quite good. I enjoyed him and his wife and their dynamic with Elrond. Elrond was actually one of the pieces of the show that I was most concerned about going in, because Hugo Weaving left such an impression on me as Elrond. But I quite enjoyed this other actor as Elrond, actually. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with their names, and it's been a little bit, but I enjoyed the actor who played Elrond, and I thought he was one of the stronger pieces of the show, as well as the actor who played Durin. So I enjoyed watching that, as well as Durin's wife and all of that dynamic on screen. One of the most enjoyable parts of the show for me. I did quite like Elendil. I thought his acting was fantastic. He felt very much like one would expect an Elendil to feel. And so yeah, I quite enjoyed that. Galadriel, I don't want to, be like the 10,000th person who's complained about Galadriel on YouTube, but it was definitely a tough characterization to swallow, especially if you're familiar with either the books or the Peter Jackson films. I just kind of basically had to divorce myself from it. Be like, okay, this is not Galadriel, this is somebody else named Galadriel, and we're just gonna roll with this. And like, what the F is up with her being like, Celeborn died. Celeborn's alive in The Lord of the Rings. I hope that they explain that in season 2, because that is weird, weird shit. But other than that, again, back to what I enjoyed. I enjoyed the Harfoots. I enjoyed the mystery of what seems to be Gandalf, even though that's not lore accurate. I did when the action was good. I did enjoy some of the action. Like when the Númenóreans rode in to save the Southlanders. That was an absolutely fantastic battle sequence. Definitely the strongest of the show. When the Southlands kind of exploded, that was really good, enjoyable, interesting television to watch, kind of as Galadriel and that young boy, whose name I've forgotten, go wandering through, trying to escape. That orc character who, the orc's called kind of like Father. He was a very interesting character. I hope we get more of him because he was very, very cool, kind of one of the more layered, interesting characters, and the actor was quite good, so I just wanted to watch more of him on screen rather than some of the other characters that were a little less enthralling, shall we say. So for me, I know this maybe sounds a little more negative than positive, but I did, like when I was watching Rings of Power, I did enjoy it. I'll definitely be checking out season 2. It's definitely not by any means a perfect show. It definitely screws up a lot of Tolkien lore. But again, if you're just looking for a fun fantasy romp, it's an enjoyable show, and I'd definitely check it out.